After Lewis got back for the bank, it's now June 19th, and we're back here at the Rookery. Todd is sitting beside me. And this is going to take up from, oh my, James. Smashing Pumpkins. This is going to take up from this afternoon at the Rookery. I hate the way I look. After Lewis got back from the bank.
Oh, look at this picture.
Oh, neat. After Lewis got back from the bank, I walked down the street to the little drugstore. I think it was way down on 5th Avenue that we stopped at yesterday, and I got this little bat bean baby. It was really cute. It was one like Astrid had when they were here. And then I went into about 10 stores looking for postcards. Could not find simple postcards anywhere until I walked up towards where Jonathan and Lewis and I ate the previous night and found a store that had some. Also, so I bought some nice stickers for Peachy, some kitty cat stickers, and also some birthday cards for future use. Then I walked back to the apartment, and let's see, Lewis was lying down because he said his head felt spacey. That's the only way he could describe it. He wasn't dizzy or anything like that. He must have been a little lightheaded. So when I got back, he told me that I should go down around the corner across the street to a kind of a deli which had really good sandwiches, and get him some soup and get myself a sandwich, which I did. And I took the soup back, and he was sleeping. So I went ahead and ate mine and sat there and watched the TV. It didn't have the volume up on it, but watched Sunset Beach. And he snoozed the whole time. Then a little while later he got up and he ate the soup. He seemed to be feeling a little bit better, but then he sat and watched Law and Order. And I snoozed then on the couch, or the day bed. And then he watched Peter Falk in Columbo, and around 3:45 Todd called and let us know that he was in the city, and I showered and we got ready, and about 10 after 4, 4:15, we walked down to 94th Street to the parking garage and got the car. And Lewis commented on all the gorgeous guys we were passing. And then I said, Lewis, you're wearing one of Roger Davis's t-shirts. He said, yes, he gave me this. He said, he gave me another one. He said, then he started reminiscing about Roger Davis. He said, I didn't like Roger when I first worked with him. He says, but then he kind of alluded to that he likes him now. And I said, yeah, I think Roger was disliked by a lot of his fellow actors on Dark Shadows. He said, well, he left us waiting. He said, you just don't do that when you're an actor. You just don't hold things up. And he said Roger did that. And he said apparently he was in good with Dan Curtis because he never got called on the carpet about it or anything like that. And he said apparently he was a favorite. He says I apparently wasn't a favorite because he says, to this day, I believe that the reason for that is because when we were on a shoot up in Newport or Tarrytown or whatever, I was tired and I crawled into the back of the van and went to sleep and left Dan Curtis with only the van driver to talk to. And he said, I think he's resented me ever since that. And he says that I could have maybe been in some of his later endeavors, and I said, yeah, it's too bad, and I kind of laughed, and he says, don't laugh, it's not a laughing matter, it's very sad, actually. And I said, well, yes, I guess that's true. I said, you potentially could have possibly been in the Betty Davis movie. when he directed her in Burnt Offerings. And he said yes. He said, but then he mentioned, he was talking about Diana Malay too. Something we had watched a promo she did on for New Jersey or NYC, and he said, did I mishear her, or did she really say, hello, I'm Diana Malay? I said, oh, you probably didn't mishear her. That's the way she talks sometimes. He said, she's a strange girl. That's what he said. And what else did he say? He was talking about Roger Davis, and I said he's kind of mellowed through the years. He said, well, he ought to have, with his house burning down and his mother dying. And I told him about how Dennis Patrick turned his back on him during the festival when they were sitting on the stage together. And he said, is that true? And I said, yes, I have it on video. And let's see, what else? He told, as he was telling me these stories, he said, now here's one for your video journal. And he knew I was going to write these down and try to remember them, so he was telling me a lot. He said he was very pleased with himself as an actor, but he said he'd made some wrong decisions, and he said he had gotten word from someone, maybe Jim Pearson, that Dan Curtis had tried to call him to be in the 1991 Dark Shadows, and he said he would have loved to have done that, but he said he had made up his mind that he was going to England, and he said it might have been a foolish, wrong decision, but that's what I wanted to do, and so he decided to pass on playing the Joshua. But he said that's just the way actors, he says, I didn't have an agent, I didn't have a manager, so, I didn't have anybody to tell me I had to do this, so I just went on to London. So then we got to the parking garage. Let me go back and tell a story. When Lewis watched Law and Order today, it had an actor on it named John. I don't have John's last name. Lewis. This is the gentleman that played on the One Life to Live storyline about the gay teenager Billy. He played Billy's father. Had to find out his name later. But Lewis recognized him, said that he had worked with him on Broadway in the show with Dick Cavett, and that Lewis had used to smoke pot with John and his wife in the old days. So. And another story, last night when Jonathan was at Lewis's, Jonathan started telling us about the show that he was going to be doing here in November with the college out here on Long Island. And he said, I'm doing it with all the person from the festival, and he just kind of stuttered around and he was trying to think of Helen's name, but he just kept saying, oh, that the person from the festival. And Lewis said, Jim Pearson? And Jonathan goes, no, certainly not Jim Pearson. And that's just a little sign of what he thinks of Jim, I guess. I was tempted to tell him that Jim's mother had just passed away 2 days ago, but I didn't really bring that up. So back to today at the parking garage, we got Lewis's car and we drove back to the Red Pussy and we loaded it up, and it was about 5 o'clock when we left there, and he had called Bella to be ready, and she said not to come so soon. She was just eating a sandwich. Well, good grief, we were going to drive around just on a joyride, but it's a good thing we didn't, because we started right down and we got into such traffic. I really couldn't believe Lewis couldn't have anticipated this, but he says, well, I don't drive around in the city that much. Well, certainly, I mean, me being from out of town, even I know about rush hour, and we were just bumper to bumper forever. Finally, we got down to 13th Street where Bella lives, and he said, pull over, she lives right here. So and then as he was getting out, he says, I gotta go to the bathroom. So I saw him running up and down the streets looking for a dark place to pee, and there weren't any, so he got between a truck There was a man sitting right across the street that could have looked up and seen him pee at any time, and he was peeing between a car and a truck, and it looked like he was peeing right on the spare tire of this utility vehicle or something, and just as he was pulling up his zipper, a man walked around the back of the utility vehicle. So then he ran over to Bella's apartment and rang her bell. And then for some reason he ran across the street. I thought maybe he was confused about where her apartment it was. And he disappeared into a building across the street. And I looked at the building and Bella came out. I said, "Are you Bella?" And she said, "Yes." I said, "I'm Guy. I'm Lewis's friend. He went across the street for some reason." I said, "Hop in." And she kind of hesitated, I guess because she didn't want to hop in this car with a stranger. But then Louis came running back across the street. He said he had just asked for directions to Canal Street. So they directed us to Canal Street. We went out and down a ways and then got lost again. And we were lost going back on these bumper-to-bumper roads. And then we'd get on the little side streets, and it was just a mess. So Lewis said, "It looks like we're going to have to stick around for the later show, gang." And it's a good thing that didn't happen, because we'd all be exhausted. We'd still be in the city at this moment. So we, as we were driving down the street, Bella said, "Where are you from, Guy?" And right at that moment, we spotted the street that we were looking for. I can't. What's the name of that street, Todd, that this was on? Oh, right here it is. Lafayette Street. I spotted it. I said, "I'm from Maryland. There's Lafayette Street." And so there was a parking garage there. Not a garage, but rather some of those things where you lift the cars up and park underneath of them. But the guy was only going to be there till 7:30, and he wanted me to come out to pick up the key at 7:30. He was a cute black kid with long legs. He was very friendly. And when he heard we were going to a movie, he said, "Forget it, just wait and I'll park the..." And he didn't say it in a smart way. He says, "Just wait, I'll park the car, you can have the key." So he did that, and I think Lewis gave him an extra tip. And we walked around the corner and down the street, and there it was, the downtown community television. We went up on the third floor. As soon as the elevator door opened, we had a minute to spare. It was 6:44. It was supposed to start at 6:45. David Namod was there. He said, "There they are." Grabbed us off the elevator. David grabbed me, and I gave him a hug. Then Brenda Bartholomew was there and gave her a hug. And David got some wine, and the three of us had a toast to our 10th anniversary of our Egypt trip. And then Terrain Crawford was there, and she gave me a hug, and I don't think she remembered my name, but she recognized me from the festival, and chatted with her a little bit, and then got a cookie and ran to the restroom. By that time, David Namon was giving his little pre-movie speech and thanking people and handing out chocolates and flowers, and then the movie started, and David asked me to critique it or write an article about it. I took a few notes. It was an interesting movie about two gay Jewish boys. One had given up Judaism for the gay life, and the other was strict with his religion, but he was struggling with his gay feelings. And they both came to terms to accept both parts of their lives. And it was interesting, and Lewis did a good job with his part of the Jewish grandfather. And at about 8:30, the movie was over, and Marie came running up and gave me a hug, and I took a picture of the three of them. Dennis Baker was there. He gave me a hug and gave him a check for the CD. And Eddie Lambesi and Guy were there. I chatted with them a little bit, and I met Marie's friend David, and some of the actors that were in this movie were there. I met several people, and I'm sorry to say I don't remember them all. It's mostly a gay audience because it was a gay-oriented movie, I suppose. But it was interesting. It was a bit primitive, but it was a nice movie. Good work for the first try. Not the first try, the third try. So Lewis was itching to leave, and I still hadn't spotted Todd, and I was getting a little worried. And fortunately, with Marie and Terrain getting them to stand beside Louis to have his picture taken, he would have been down on the street, but I grabbed him off the elevator. I said, "We need to take your picture with these ladies," and so he stuck around. Bella went down to smoke a cigarette, and thank God then Todd came up on the elevator a few minutes later, and we had to rush right out of there, and Terrain and Marie were leaving quickly, and Louis wanted to leave, and because he was thinking Bella was going to take a cab home, and he had promised to drive her home. Well, Bella introduced Bella to Todd, and the four of us walked to the car and got in the car, and then we drove Bella to 14th Street. She got out and caught a cab to the rest of the way home, and then Todd, Lewis, and I rode to the FDR Expressway or Parkway or whatever, and got on there and chatted and joked and drove all the way out here to the Rookery, and we got here about 11. No, I guess it was maybe closer to 10:30 or so, maybe, or quarter to 11. I'm not sure. Probably a quarter to 11. Todd gave Bill a call and talked to him on the phone a while, and I talked to Bill, and he said there was a tornado near Towing Center, knocked a lot of trees over, and which is good news. And Lewis was tired. He didn't want his evening feeding, so he ate a piece of the ice cream cake and some coffee and went on up to bed. And I showed Todd around the grounds here in the dark, and I guess that's pretty much it. We ate a little bit of cake and came in here, and now he's looking at his Smashing Pumpkins CD, and I'm just going to get ready for bed. Oh, one other thing that Lewis told me when we were walking to the parking garage this afternoon, he said Jonathan one day told him that he had overheard someone, or maybe Curtis himself, talking about Lewis, saying that boy could be big in England, and Lewis took that as a great compliment coming from the producer himself. And Jonathan said, "You must have been a good boy today, Lewis," or something like that. But apparently Dan Curtis was saying that he admired Lewis's work as an actor so much that he really believed that he could be big in England, which Lewis took as a great compliment. Okay. We are getting ready to leave the Rookery here in a little while. A little tour. This is the secret garden. Fishies are asleep. This is a little homage to Willie D. The greenhouse. It's a wonderful shower. Wonderful moss to walk on when you're finished your shower. These are the old house shutters. This is Horace.
Mm-hmm.
Hi.
This is Carlos, and this is Louis.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Lloyd.
Oh, he's waving.
This is Lloyd Jr.
Louis Jr. He knows he's on camera. Horace.
I think we could empty some water, Carlos.
Oh, make it happen. I'm drinking more water. Put a stop.
Yes, yes, yes.
This is too big for the
Yes, yes, yes. There we go. Good, good, good.
Is this Laura's urn? Oh, here's another pond. I didn't know this one was here. Now, shall we go over and wake Todd? I'm getting ready to go to the grocery store. Do you think you want anything?
I'm getting hungry.
Okay. There's no fast food place. I'm going to get him some groceries and come back, and then we'll leave, and I'm going to stop at Taco Bell. I don't know if you wanted to get a bottle of water or something at the grocery store, or you want to ride along?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you get the hammock?
Yeah.
Okay. You know where to... Oh, they're awful up here.
And then it got really cold because the sun kind of got more shady. But oh, it's just so nice.
Oh, I know. Did you sleep?
No, it's like it stopped and the mosquito would come or I'd get too hot or something like that.
Hmm.
But
Well, after you hang the hammock up, I'll meet you. If you go into the guest house, take your shoes off because I vacuum real good.